Hello, my name is Roy Canterbury. I'll be your host today on Archer Talk 101. Today we're going to talk about what causes archers to have shoulder problems. And we have a special guest with us today, Dr. Mark Seefeldt. I'll be introducing him in a couple of seconds, but I want to go over some of the reasons and causes that you might be having. First off is when you're at full draw, you have your arm completely extended out and it raises your shoulder up. And as you raise that shoulder up, that causes problems in the shoulder. One of the other problems you have is when your arm is off at an angle. As you're forced, the bow is pushing back, you're pulling back. So when the bow goes off, you're putting pressure back in here and your hand wants to slide off to the side. So proper way to do it is have your arm off to the side so you're pushing straight away. Your shoulder is down, your arm is bent. When the bow goes off, your hand will go straight towards your target. Now that is kind of the correct way to do it. So let's get in here. I'd like to introduce Dr. Mark Seefeldt and let him talk about himself. Hello, doctor. Would you introduce yourself to the group?
Sure thing, Roy. Thanks for having me on your show. I really appreciate it. It's a wonderful opportunity to speak with some archers today. I know we had talked about it before the show that, my wife grew up with archery. Her dad was a state level champ in archery. Her grandfather was an Olympic level archer. Unfortunately, I, didn't inherit that, but I got some lessons from her as we were dating. And one of the media things I realized was it's a pretty technical sport. You really have to learn the skill of it, just like, playing golf, which is something I'm probably much more familiar with. But as far as for me, a little bit about my background, I'm a doctor of physical therapy. I've been doing physical therapy or practicing for almost 25 years now. And since 2013, I've worked exclusively with the military, kind of a roundabout. I spent 6 years in the Navy, and in a circular way, I came back, and I'm serving that population. I'm, encouraged and proud to do that. So I see sailors and soldiers and some of the retirees, dependents with various issues, orthopedically, and a lot of shoulder problems. So I think today is going to be an exciting show in the sense of talking about the shoulder, because from what we've discussed before and what you just were showing is that, shoulder problems are probably one of the more common issues with someone who does a lot of archery. So that's what I'm looking forward to explaining a little bit about today.
Yeah, we can see a lot of archers have problems, and a lot of the older ones had that same problem because they shot with the arm completely extended out as far as they could, get as long a draw length they can, because the longer the draw length, the more power you put in a bow. Back when the old recurves and longbows, and that meant you have a flatter trajectory. So what I'd like you, if you could explain how the joint and the muscles work together to counteract the forces of the bow pushing into the shoulder.
Yeah, sure. I'm like, apart from, I'm not going to do a lengthy explanation of anatomy, but just for the sake of really what we're looking at with any skill, like I say, some of my clients I work with are anywhere from musicians to people who shoot guns to people who cook or pilots or dentists. Whatever the activity is, there's certain common problems with the shoulder. People in the military have to do a lot of push-ups, and so a couple of times a year they get tested, and we get a lot of new patients that way. So some of them really trying to max out their push-ups, and it's a common issue. So one of the things when you look at that shoulder, and as an area of the body, is that if you were holding a bow and you're holding, like you said, with that arm extended, you have to have stability, and you're holding it out, like a 90-degree angle. Requires stability. It's similar to if you were to stand on one leg. It's a common test we do for people who have injuries and they want to get back to running. To stand on one leg, you have to be able to balance. And to balance, you have to be able to use all your muscles around that leg to what we call co-contract to hold your stability. Same thing if you're using your arm. You have your arm extended and you're trying to hold it steady and stable. So your certain muscles in your shoulder have to contract around each other to keep that steady. And ideally, we want to use the least amount of muscles, right, to do that, so we can perform it nice and steady, like you were saying. So there's some key muscles in the shoulder. Now, if I want to back up a little bit and just talk about the shoulder itself, one of the things that we find, today almost most of the time, there are exceptions, but most of the time with problems with the shoulder, it is commonly from, the day-to-day things that we all do. We all are looking at our phones. I kind of turn sideways and just kind of over exaggerate, but just, we tend to get more of a kind of a hunchback. We tend to get more of a forward head posture. And that can come with, certain jobs, certainly working at computers, being on our phones a lot. But in our society, everything is, sort of out here, out in front. So what tends to get tight is the muscles in the front of the shoulder, and what tends to get weak is the muscles in the back of the shoulder. So with a skill like archery, what I want to go over today is just some exercises that can address the common issues that are tight, or the common areas of tightness, some of the areas that are commonly weak, and most likely the reason why, if someone's having shoulder issues with archery, it's probably because of one of those reasons. That sound like a good idea?
Yeah, we want to go over some of the ways we can heal from it. If you get that type of injury, what would be your advice on how to heal from that injury or recover from the pain from it?
Well, if someone has an injury, I'm speaking, I don't know anybody in particular that I'm talking to here, but generally, if someone has an injury or is having pain, you should go get checked out by your doctor. I would always recommend going to see a physical therapist if it's a musculoskeletal injury. If I'm looking at someone, I would be considering the whole history. Have they had surgery? How long has it been going on? What are their activities? What are their day-to-day postures like? Are they someone like a car mechanic? So they're working up here a lot, and then, that is going to stress certain parts of the shoulder out. And then you go on to doing a complete thorough physical examination, looking at strength, range of motion, flexibility, even the neck and the mid-back. So all these things factor into the shoulder, and they're all important. So, common sense, if someone has a recent injury, to just rest, maybe use some ice, see if it gets better in a few days. That would be more the common sense approach. If it goes beyond that normal time, then you might want to get it checked out.
Yeah, sounds like good advice. See your doctor if you have something that doesn't recover very quick. Now let's get
Right.
into some of the exercises that you could use to strengthen those shoulder muscles, because you've got these muscles in here that are going to have to do some work to stabilize that joint. What kind of exercises would you recommend somebody doing to strengthen those muscles?
Well, I'm glad you asked. And I'm going to actually show you some today. So if you're just listening to this, I'll try my best to explain it. I have my wife here to help as a camera crew, and she's going to follow me over here to my exercise room. Let's see here. I'm going to try to fix this part here. Okay. Okay, can you see me okay? Okay, so the first thing is I'm laying on the floor. I'm laying flat on the exercise mat, and I've got my knees bent. Well, the first exercise is really also a good test of your flexibility, and it could be the number one thing you need to work on. So I want to have my shoulders, my back against the floor, as many contact points as possible. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to bring my arms out straight out to a 90-degree angle, just like this. And then I'm going to bring my hands back to touch the floor. So I've got my arms, my hands in contact, my forearm in contact. And as soon as I do this, I am a little tight. I feel my low back wanting to come up. I'm going to try to rotate my pelvis back, keep my back flat, keep my arms in contact with the floor the whole time. This could be a stretch. Now, this could be where some people I see start with, just holding this and doing a 30-second stretch. But what we're going to add to it is called usually a wall angel. In this case, it's going to be a floor angel. We're going to start to move up and down, nice and smooth, kind of like a snow angel. We haven't had any snow this year yet in where we live, but hopefully it'll be coming in the next few weeks. So I'm just kind of sliding off. So what you want to make sure is that, either your hands don't come off or your elbows come off the floor. If you have trouble with it, just do the best you can. It shouldn't hurt, but you want to try to move up and down. And what this is going to do is, one, you'll feel it in those little stabilizer muscles in the back of your shoulder. and you'll feel a stretch across the pectoral muscles and across some of the muscles that tend to get tight in the front of the shoulder. Usually do at least 10 or 15, 3 sets. This is one you can do every single day. Now I'm gonna flip around here, get on my hands and knees. And that exercise could be done against the wall too. This next one, I'm gonna have my arms fully extended. Again, my back is pretty level here. And I'm just gonna press my hands into the mat. Shoulder blades go out, shoulder blades come back in. It's called a scapular press or a push-up plus if I do it in a push-up position. Going out and in, making sure I keep my shoulders or my arms all the way extended. Arms are straight, the shoulder blades go out, shoulder blades come back in. Now, if you can do these, say, oh, I can do 20 or 30 of these, no problem. What we do is we step it up a little bit. I'm gonna get a little band, usually a fairly light resistance. I don't wanna go heavy with this, but just same position. As soon as I lock this in, now I'm also adding a little bit of rotator cuff strengthening with it. Also very important. So I'm just pressing out, pressing in with a little bit of a band resistance. High repetition, usually 3 sets, anywhere between 15 and 30 reps. So this is a scap. Now, if I've got a soldier that's in pretty good shape, now you could do it in a push-up position as well. That would be the next level up, going in that direction. So there's 2 exercises. The next one can be very specific to archery, okay? So it's also a great exercise for anybody, a lot of the people I work with, but for this one, I'm gonna start with a tubing. Now I am up against the wall. Again, I'm gonna have shoulder blades against the wall. I'm gonna try to tuck my chin against the wall. Again, you're seeing I'm a little bit tight as well, but that's the problem a lot of people have is they're out here and you wanna stretch back here as much as you can and hold it. Bring the tubing out in front, bring it out wide, all the way straight out, straight arms, and back in. So nice and smooth. This one's gonna work the mid traps, which are also important for shoulder stability. But one on the floor, it also works the muscle called the serratus anterior, which is super important for stability of the shoulder. Probably one of the number 1 exercises to work on for an archer. Now, when I bring my arms out here, I can hold it. And I can also do just some simple, gentle stretches into rotation. Because to be able to, you want to do both sides. You know, in archery, you're probably commonly usually looking to one direction. You want to practice both for symmetry and balance. And you need good neck rotation to be able to properly hold a bow. 30-second holds, or you can even just kind of gently go back and forth, trying to loosen up the joints. That one actually feels pretty good. I've got one more for you. And that's gonna be over here. It's my home gym setup here. I've got a band with some handles, and I've got it just set up against the wall or inside the door. And if you notice, I have it set up above the level of my shoulder. You can do different heights, but I have it set up like this for a reason, because what we're trying to do is with the shoulders is train the shoulder blade to come down and back. Kind of what you're talking about, Roy, is if you're doing this, if you're hiking this part of your shoulder, your upper trap is being used too much. And this upper trap muscle is very commonly overused with shoulder problems. People tend to hunch like this. So this strengthens the muscles back here and helps to relax these muscles up here. So in this sense, it could be just like that. If I'm just working the shoulder blades down and back, I could do one, and then I'm gonna move it to just a full-on rowing exercise where I'm just pulling it down and back, bringing my arms or my hands towards my rib cage, bending the elbows. This is gonna be a strengthening exercise you could do in the gym as well with cables or a machine. But at this angle, I'm getting some extra work for some of the stabilizers in the back. Again, you wanna do like 3 sets. I would go for high repetitions to build endurance so that when you are doing things like archery, or some of the people I work with that are musicians, you're able to sustain those postures over time. You're not looking to do a super heavy rep necessarily. You want endurance. You can hold it for a few seconds, just like that. So there you go. That's 4 exercises I would highly recommend. There's a bunch more I could go over. Let me flip this back around real quick. Okay. But that one, those would be the most essential ones, and you can adapt those as well. Can be done against the wall angel, or that way. I showed it on the floor because that's the best way to feel it and the best place to start with. And I would say if you have, super difficulty with any of those or pain with any of those, probably should try to find a therapist, physical therapist, to coach you through and give you some further guidance. But those will work.
Yeah, those like some really good exercises. So I know when you're out shooting, you're drawing and you're squeezing your shoulder blades together as you're drawing your bow, and then when you release, you're just tightening them up even more. And that looked like a lot of those will cover that muscle as well, because when you're drawing that bow, those back muscles are the main one you're using. They're much stronger than your arms. So looks like a good exercise, even if you don't have shoulder problems, to strengthen those to make shooting a little bit easier.
It is. It's again, some of those areas are typically weak with, people that do have shoulder problems, or just the general population. We all tend to be hunched over things and forward flexed a lot. So it's all pulling things back, giving more space for like the subacromial arch, which is commonly associated with like impingement problems. And like you're saying, when you're drawing back, that arm that's going back, you're using a lot of the rhomboid muscle. And that's actually a good muscle to work anyway. So there's some things about the archery that naturally strengthen some of these muscles that are really important anyway. So that we often will do what we call a rhomboid row, and that's actually what it looks like with a band, just pulling and trying to strengthen that muscle. And of course, if you do a lot of archery, that might already be strong, and that's a good thing. But don't forget the other ones, like the serratus anterior with that pressing motion, that scapular press, which for a lot of the soldiers I see, I am doing a full push-up position, and I don't make it easy because they have to do it. So
Yeah,
it's part of their training.
Yeah, that's the soldiers. We kind of push ourselves a lot when it calls for it. We just do more, because that's just kind of what we got to do. And it's been such an amazing amount of information in there. There's things that I think everybody can use to improve their shooting. You can be able to shoot longer if you're not struggling, with the weight. You have to be more comfortable for you to shoot, and you'll be able to shoot more times, more shots before you get tired. So yeah, that's been a lot of good information. Is there anything else you'd like to follow up with or say before we end this?
I'll just say that what I'm showing is really falls into my system, if you will. The thing I kind of nail it down. What are the 3 things that are essential for a healthy back on my Facebook group, which is called the Healthy Back Group. But really, the first thing is, exercising right for your particular body type. Now, with the archery, that could be more important if you naturally have more of a forward head posture, that kind of thing. You're gonna have to work extra hard on some of these exercises. The second thing I always emphasize is developing a movement diet. And again, I see people who are sometimes look very fit. They come in very muscular, and they spend time in the gym, pretty obvious. But the rest of the day, they're possibly looking at their phones or doing their workout. Like I see dentists as well who are in a chair in a forward flex position for hours at a time, and they develop these kind of shoulder problems, even neck problems and upper back problems. So that's the thing to consider. How can I, during my day, without having to go to the gym, incorporate extra movements that are going to push me in the right direction? Which for the shoulders is, even squeezing your shoulder blades and bringing your chin back during the day, just doing sets of those. It doesn't take any extra time. You can do it almost any time of the day that you're available, but that adds up over time. Just being mindful of your your postures and what kind of positions you are in most of the day. So that's the only thing I wanted to add. The third part of my system is de-stressing the brain to eliminate pain, and that has more to do with chronic pain. So I'm not really focusing on that too much today.
All right. Yeah, that's a lot of good information. We've got a lot of great insights and a lot of help, and I'm sure it's going to help out a lot of archers that are having problems. So I'd like to thank you for being on the video today and the podcast today. It's been really great information we've been having from there. So I'll put a link to your webpage in the description below, so they can go there real easy. And if you want any more information, about the healthy back, look up Dr. Seefeldt. He's got a lot of good knowledge, as we've seen here from what he's given us. Just this one little thing. It's amazing information we've got. So once again, thank you for being on the show. And if you'd like any other archery tips or advice, make sure you join the Archery Talk 101 Facebook group. I'll put a link for that in the description below. So once again, this has been Roy Canterbury and Dr. Mark Seefeldt on Archery Talk 101. Thank you.
Thanks, Roy. Appreciate it.